So you are saying Nuh wasn't alone. There must be.
If you follow, the ayah saying these people has, denied the messengers, the messengers, not only the messenger.
The people.
So maybe he's not alone. Maybe some messengers.
But maybe in some of the ayah, it's collectively addressed to all nations, and sometimes, so it's for all nations. That's why Allah uses messengers, and it is like a general, you could say, ayah telling people, okay.
Because if they,
yeah.
what they call it, كذبت, it's lying, making them lie. Denying someone. So they deny all of them. Yeah. That was the Mufassirin, the translator trying to say. The people, scholars trying to say. It's not so many, but just because of that. So they insist it's mutafikri is not the right one. But why? Looking for the other. So you can't depend on that now to say if we're not sure if he was alone or not. Maybe God sent him with someone to help or not. Maybe, but still, you know why? Because in this other part of the story is not. It seems like he with his family and some other people, but it doesn't show if there's another prophets or not. Other not prophets, per se, messengers or not. Yeah. So yeah, we're not sure. Anyway, get it now. Good. Okay. When we speak about, I'll show you a video because we have discussion enough. Settings.
Yeah.
What's
and then close that annotation stuff.
Oh really? This one?
No, the last one.
Okay, good. Thank you. No. But I know how I think that's No, it's more like a
You can still click on the settings again. I think so.
Just leave it. It's fine. You can see
Yeah.
things.
Click the settings again.
Yeah, click settings again. Yeah, setting again. Yeah. Okay, now. Thank you. So if it not happen on round now, forget about it. That's it. It's not realistic. You know why? Because of the clock. Do you agree? That
What?
happened to the whole earth.
The
is,
question is that if was the flood global or local?
What do you think?
I actually watched so many documentaries about it.
Yeah.
I know talk about the local flood, and I thought it was kind of common belief now, but I am not sure.
It's local now. Come on, believe it is local.
Kind of. This is what I get from the documentaries. They look for the the ending point of Mesopotamia, and they look at Black Sea. They look at some part of Turkey. They just look at local areas in documentaries, but I don't know how they get this. But I assume it was like that. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that what they are speaking about. Why they think that it should be local, not on the whole earth.
Because you can trace if there was a big flood, you can trace it everywhere in the world. There's not a common trace. So.
Noah couldn't return to Shuruppak. That even when the flood was over, he was still in mortal danger.
Sorry, I didn't notice.
The most likely explanation. He also ordered Noah to cover the whole planet. We'll also create an historically accurate picture of the real Noah, who he was, where he lived, and what he might have looked like.
Sorry, I forgot to make it the right time.
The story of Noah is told in the book of Genesis, in the Bible and the Torah. It's set somewhere in the Middle East about 5,000 years ago. Noah's family includes his wife, his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their brides. Noah stands out as a good person, the only virtuous man left in a world that had become filled with corruption and violence.
I'm so hungry.
Show me.
He is described as a wine grower, a claim that has an authentic ring to it, as wine was grown in the Middle East as far back as 3000 BC. And this reference also provides a rare insight into Noah's character. After the flood, the Bible says Noah planted the first vineyard. But it also tells us that Noah had a weakness.
Anyway, this story we'll be talking about it later. There were discussion about about how big is the flood. I think.
Such a catastrophe should have left evidence all over the planet in the form of uniform marine sediments spread across the earth and the ocean floor. But have geologists found any proof of a devastating global flood? The scientific quest for traces of the biblical global flood that Noah, his family, and the animals in the ark survived actually began more than 150 years ago. But geologist Ian Plimer, after searching across continents, sometimes in the most extreme weather conditions, has found very little evidence.
A great flood would leave a signature. It would be a very, very large signature apparent all over the world. There is no such signature. There is no evidence. In fact, there is only overwhelming evidence to the contrary.
The absence of direct evidence is only one of the problems with the story. The whole idea of a global flood flies in the face of what is known about planet Earth. To flood the entire planet to the top of the Himalayas would take 3 times the volume of water in the oceans. It's hard to imagine where such a deluge could come from. The Bible provides some clues. It says it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. But even non-stop, that's not enough.
We know of how much water we've got in the oceans. We know how much water is in the polar ice caps. We know how much water is in the atmosphere, and we know how much water is in the rocks. If we put all of that together, which has happened many times in the geological past, we still do not flood the continents.
If rainfall couldn't deliver enough water, what could? The Bible offers one more possibility. Deep springs. The book of Genesis says, all the springs of the great deep broke through. Could the great flood have gushed out of the center of the earth?
It's an impossibility to have that much amount of water coming out from springs, mountains, or geysers. If all of that water was in the earth and in the crust, then well before it had been released as geysers, the crust would have been quicksand. You couldn't have walked.
Even if the flood had been caused by a miracle, Noah, his family, and the animals would have faced further problems. The amount of water flooding this...
You know, here when they speak about the miracles, it's just like without what we make God of the gaps to refute, you know? Because you say, if it's not happening, the miracle, if that happened, no, we don't have that miracle, that it's not explainable. It's just like, there's of course laws, but if you don't know it, it's not, there's nothing goes no law, but the laws of the nature that you don't know. Of course there is something. God deal with the world with laws. There's nothing like that's what gods do, okay? That's what they're doing. But this is the way that they always put it in the way that we, as Muslims, we don't get it at all. And that is not, because we believe like al-ghaib and you know, which is unseen or not known. We believe in not known, but it's not something like unacceptable. You see? That's why.
Surface of the planet would have changed the Earth's atmosphere.
The atmosphere would have had a huge amount of water vapor dissolved in it. So much so that you would have drowned by breathing, and so much so that atmospheric pressure would have crushed your lungs.
Geysers present another potentially fatal problem. They release poisonous gases from deep within the Earth's core, which probably would have killed everybody, whether or not they were in the Ark.
Geysers pump out huge amounts of noxious sulfur-rich gases, even before the flood.
Do you know what they are talking about?
Breathe.
Yeah, I just saw some recently.
No, I will show you the video to show you what they are talking about, okay? Because, well, before we go continue on that, we just want to show you something here. And this is about, if someone is speaking about it, scientifically it's not impossible, because look at the water resources on the earth, and they put every resources here.
Mm-hmm.
And they measure it like what they have it in cubic miles in physics, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not enough to fill so much on the earth. Should be water come from somewhere to another way, you know? So it can't be, with all their measurement, to be possible. And that was the person speaking about it here.
Self-talking. Water goes on top of it. According to the USGS, the total quantity of water in, on, and surrounding the planet in the form of water, ice, and water vapor is 1.338 billion cubic kilometers. This includes water in our oceans, freshwater lakes and rivers, aquifers, dams, everything. It includes ice in the form of glaciers, polar ice caps, and other formations. And it includes the water in the atmosphere in the form of clouds, general humidity, and so forth. Next question. How do we calculate the volume of water needed to cover the surface of the Earth? I must note at this point that while I am addressing the biblical account of Noah's flood, I am taking my calculations only to the tip of the highest point on Earth. I am not concerned about the extra cubits of water which made the flood quote-unquote extra thorough. As we'll see shortly, an extra 15 to 20 feet or so worldwide would only make things worse for the literalists out there anyway. So back to our question. For illustration purposes, let's assume that the Earth is a perfectly flat sphere. No mountains, hills, valleys, depressions. We'll further assume that it has no satellite and therefore has no tidal cycle. We'll assume that its orbit is perfectly circular as well.
Do they have mountains where the area they were, the floats were there? Mountains?
There's probably no, because people have just walked to the mountains if there was a flood. So that's why they build an ark so they can just travel around and find them.
What about the story of the boy?
They were or not? See?
I don't think there would be
There
around.
would be.
There wouldn't be, sorry.
What about that son who said, I will
Ah.
find refuge in the
Yes,
mountain?
Ah.
Yes, somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I forgot to say.
Find it and we'll read it together,
I'll just read
okay?
it.
Yeah.
Now I
Try to find that
Yeah, so
song.
this is on the second,
You know that song, yeah? What he
Hud
says.
11, 25, 49, on the second page of it, where he says,
You're all tired. Yeah, sorry.
yeah, and so it sailed with them amidst waves like hills, and Noah called to his son, who had kept away, on my son, embark with us, and do not be with the disbelievers. He said, I will take refuge on a mountain, it will protect me from the water. He said, there's no protection, I think this is Noah, said, there's no protection from God's decree today, except for him on whom he has mercy. And the waves surged between them, and he was amongst the drowned.
Yeah. So there were mountain, yeah? And the tide of the water was like mountains as well. Okay? Okay.
To avoid any complications due to the sun's gravity, however minor. And lastly, we'll assume that it doesn't rotate about its axis. This last point is important as the Earth's rotation actually causes its circumference to be slightly larger equatorially than through the poles. Now, let us put one mountain on our arbitrarily perfect Earth, and let us call this peak Flood Mountain, appropriately enough. Flood Mountain is quite high, of course. In this illustration, I made it exaggeratedly so in order to illustrate my process. You can see that in order to cover Mount Flood with water, or at least put enough water on our perfect Earth that Mount Flood would essentially be underwater, we must add volume to our perfect Earth in the form of water, such that we have expanded the volume of our perfect Earth so that its radius includes the very, very tippy top of Mount Flood. In short, we must fill that outer zone with water. Rather than calling it added volume, it would be more accurate to say that we are moving existing volumes of water from somewhere in our hydrosphere in order to fulfill the biblical requirement that all the Earth be covered in water, just so we're clear. This brings us to our next question. How much water would it take to fill that outer zone? Please remember that for illustration purposes, I drew the outer zone way too big proportionally so that it was obvious where I was going. However, I think you can see what the basic calculations must involve. We must begin by determining the cubic volume of that outer zone, henceforth called the flood zone. Using our arbitrarily perfect Earth, this would be a
But
simple
you get the
process of
point, he's
mathematics.
calculating, yeah? And that would not be possible, okay? And because they will say that, I think the conclusion will say we don't have enough water. You're sleepy, what I can do is just say, turn on the light or make you play something, just
Feed us.
Yeah, pizza. Pizza, please. What else do we need? Grapes. Grapes.
Speak, you know the way, speak about food, speak about they always speak about
Chocolate cake.
They always speak about coffee. Anyone knows what they are offering to do for iftar today?
Okay, get me on with it. Let's do it.
Pizza and cheese and tomatoes. I wish we had something.
So you get the point now. They are you know
How
what
how they get that numbers? I'm really wondering.
how much water
Yeah, how much
there.
water? Yeah.
I think they estimated somewhere. That's the
Because
engineers
it's so
sometimes they
difficult.
do
I think,
ridiculous
you know,
issues.
None of the surfaces of the world is not, uniform. And I think
Oh,
it's
he
so
did
difficult.
assumption. He said,
Yeah.
get rid of everything, make it flat, and we're gonna
You
take.
cannot make it flat because
That's
you
what
cannot
he did.
normalize it.
Yeah, that's what he
75%
So he did the
75%
worst
of the world is
scenario.
water.
He did the worst scenario. If there is
Okay.
nothing, and even the worst scenario, it can't cover. So
And-
he put the
Yeah,
easiest
everything.
scenario to say, okay, it has the
Yeah.
less, the minimum of surface.
The other
Okay.
thing, how we know
And
how
one
much
mountain.
water in
But then that
atmosphere at
makes-
that time?
not valid, right?
Maybe
Because
it was the
it's
same.
easiest.
She's just exaggerating to show that the story would be
The
valid.
documentary said
Yeah.
actually,
That he's trying to do.
if there was that much water in atmosphere, we would drown by breathing, so it would not be possible.
To live.
Where?
It would be 100% water.
Yeah, the guy in the documentary, he said if that much water in the atmosphere, we would have drowned by breathing, so we cannot say, there must be like, it might be a bit higher than the current
Maybe it
numbers.
was just a cloud, just came on top of them and then just so much water poured over.
Yeah, but you're
Yeah.
talking about closed system.
That
Closed
was the
system, water goes and comes back. It's a
Yeah,
closed
yeah.
system, so there's no water coming from out space.
Yeah,
You
that's
have
what
all
I'm
the
saying.
water
So
on
it,
Earth.
it was just evaporated and then
Yeah,
lost
it
Then
comes
what,
back.
then what
He's
happened?
talking
Yeah,
about
so it has
miracle.
to come back.
that is more makes sense to me than this one actually, to be honest. Because it's like 75% of the world is already covered, but in this case, then I don't know how they managed to get it.
Interesting. Yeah. And that's what I was thinking of. And then there's another source for the water. If you read here. Maybe
Yeah, but I mean, if that ocean underneath would come to
What?
surface, it means there must be some land structure.
I'll show it and then
Scientists believe they found evidence of a potential ocean beneath our home planet's crust. The study from researchers at Northwestern University and the University of New Mexico have concluded the body of water rests about 400 miles underneath Earth's crust and is so large it can fill all our oceans 3 times over. Their research, however, indicates the water is not in the typical liquid, ice, or vapor forms, but instead is trapped in mantle rock containing a blue mineral called ringwoodite. Ringwoodite has a structure similar to crystal that acts like a sponge to trap liquid and pull in hydrogen. Ringwoodite have been proposed as one of the major minerals in the deep earth for the past 50 years, but no one had ever held a piece of ringwoodite in their hand that had come from those depths to be able to prove that that's the case. Thus far, only one small piece of ringwoodite has been brought to Earth's surface from 400 miles underground by volcanic activity and was found to contain water in solid form. The researchers combined lab experiments on mantle rock under high pressure with seismic data measuring U.S. earthquakes to reach their conclusions. The discovery is an important one, as it will help scientists learn how the Earth formed and its current composition. Northwestern geophysicist Steve Jacobson, who is a co-author of the study, commented, "I think we're finally seeing evidence for a whole Earth water cycle, which may help explain the vast amount of liquid water on the surface of our habitable planet. Scientists have been looking for this missing deep water for decades."
why they were searching for that water?
Influenced by the stories?
Sorry, what?
Influenced by the stories?
No, I don't. Oh, yeah, but I don't think they are coming. I just bring it from another source. They were not.
I
from
think
the
they
water
want to
source.
see
It's not from the
Water.
water.
Geologists, I
happened
think,
then.
just do
What?
this kind of research, I think. Yeah.
They
There
want
will
to
be
know
a
needed
time,
after.
yeah, there will be fights on water, and then there will be no water on Earth.
Then
So
you dig
other
out
resources.
ringwoodite and then you convert it into water.
You like to see this one?
What's big and wet and located 400 miles beneath the United States? Hey everyone, I'm Karen for D News, and today we're talking about what could be the largest water reservoir ever discovered on planet Earth. Actually, it's in the Earth, and it's not really liquid water, but I'll get to that. Scientists from Northwestern University and the University of New Mexico have made the astonishing announcement that there appears to be oceans worth of water stored in the Earth's mantle approximately 400 miles underneath most of the interior of the US. It's long been speculated that water is trapped in the transition zone, or the area between the upper and the lower mantle layers of our planet, and scientists have actually been looking for it for decades. This work, published in the journal Science, provides the first direct evidence of it. So what is this evidence exactly? I mean, the deepest holes we've been able to dig are mines in Canada and South Africa that are around 2.5 miles beneath the Earth's surface. We're talking about going much, much deeper than that. What researchers have found are actually deep pockets of magma, which is a clear indicator that water is present too, although not in the liquid, solid, or gas forms that we're familiar with. This is actually a fourth form of water, where the hydrogen and oxygen are trapped in the molecular structure of minerals in the rocks. We're talking about enormous pressures here. Think about the weight of hundreds of miles of solid rock. So the high pressure, combined with the extremely high temperatures that you find closer to the Earth's core, cause these water molecules to split off and form hydroxyl radicals that then bind to the crystal structures of the minerals surrounding them. This discovery proves that it is possible for water from the Earth's surface to be driven down to great depths through the processes associated with plate tectonics. And these findings will provide scientists with a greater understanding of how the Earth is formed, what it's made of, and just how much water is trapped inside of it. If just 1% of the weight of mantle rock in the transition zone is comprised of water, this would be the equivalent of 3 times the amount of water in all of the oceans combined. Just a mind-boggling amount. For me, the biggest question is, what does this all mean? Is this water ever going to become a usable resource? Will we somehow be able to tap into these vast water reservoirs, especially seeing as fresh water is a resource that's rapidly declining in today's world? Well, I didn't actually answer that, but seeing as we are quite unlikely to ever physically get close to it, my guess would be no. But yay, science! So what do you think about all of these results and the fact that water comes in a fourth form? Leave your comments below and don't forget to subscribe here for more D-News every day of the week.
So what do you think?
Well, I'm a believer.
So what?
So, as a believer, yes, could be. This water that was brought up to the surface.
Do you find any support in the verses here?
I think it's not
I need to read more.
Not possible?
because if it came out before, why it doesn't come out now? And if it came out before, there should be some traces that they could see it, and there should definitely be some tectonic, how do you call
Plate
it?
shift.
Yeah, the shifts and everything, the landscape would be changed. It's a really drastic change should happen.
And why you saying that that doesn't happen?
I mean, I don't know, but I just assume it didn't happen because if
Maybe
it
it's not
happened,
in Mesopotamia.
but maybe if it happened, it should have happened in the formation of world, like not the time that people were living on it, or maybe the time that it wasn't really the world was not all settled, and all the how you call it, the disasters and everything was so like unpredictable. All the the beginnings of Earth. It could happen, but not on the time that atmosphere is there and the landscape are there and everything was settled. I don't know.
The earthquake happens now.
Yeah, they do, but they don't bring the water from the.
Yeah,
There's
and I
not
think
that
if you
deep.
have it, it's under so much pressure. So
The water down is
Yes.
under.
I just noticed that I never read this before. It says when our command came and the volcano erupted, and then the flood happened.
Volcano, yeah.
Yeah, but
I'm going to again, but yeah.
but still, I mean,
Not a volcano, actually, the word is
Yeah,
not
what is
volcano.
it?
I mean,
I'm going to explain
Can
now.
I say
But
something
let
about
us
that?
read it because I want everybody to read it first to see what, and then make it a proper question, and then I'll answer it, okay? And then, but if you're tired, just feel free to tell me stop today. Yeah. And we should make it later, so we stay I can see you are people like smart and giving, but I see you tired as well. I don't want to be someone. It's not me. You are fasting. It's not me.
There is another story of Atlantis.
Try to read it. Try to be
Where is that volcano? I was just going to say there's a story of Atlantis. Of course, Atlantis is not like something biblical or anything, but it talks about the volcanic eruption and the land covered by water, and there was they even say the island was just below the water and stuff like that. So it can happen if there's a volcano eruption. There could be 2 tsunamis and everything, but it doesn't change whole universe, and it doesn't bring the water from the
underneath.
But maybe it's better to show it to you now, because if you're going to read a volcano in translation, that's misleading. What the Quran saying is this word, and I think without showing, Tanur, 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 you know it, Tanur. Yeah, we're going to speak about Tanur. Do you use a Tanur? Do you make a bread with a Tanur? Yeah, you use it, good. This is good. What do you call it? Yeah. Your first version, good. Tanur?
Oh, we say tandoor.
You say tandoor, yeah? You have tandoor. Yeah.
Now we're talking about food. Please get on with it.
Ordo is it? Yeah. Ordo is
something about fire.
yeah, roti is
You do?
Not in making bread.
Tandoor. Okay.
It's not just tea.
Tandoor?
You're reminding us.
You have it, tandoor?
Yeah, we say tandoor.
What?
Tandoor.
We don't have it like most of the
We have
rest
in
of the
Korea.
country, but
We
really,
have it in
really,
Korea.
in the east mostly, I think, yeah, or the
Yeah, it's-
Kurdish area.
Yeah, it's you know the areas where it's still there are villages and the old they still like this bread.
We have it all over the country.
You have it in Greece?
And
You have no?
It's just
Kurdistan.
kind of.
Kurdistan there.
This is what this is what's so
Like
fun.
a furnace.
Guess,
Like
imagine the smell.
And kebab.
I was okay with bread, but not with kebab. I have more photos here.
No, don't bring more photos.
No, it's okay.
the bread is okay, not kebab.
Bring it on.
Oh.
Oradan bilmiyordum ya.
Oh, that's not so.
I thought tandoor is really something Iranian.
Yeah,
I thought it was really
See,
Buradaki
goes
kebab.
back to Noah, you see? Goes back to Noah, maybe, yes. I don't know if they were baking or not, but this is what we agree that his name is Tandoor, yeah?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's
Why are we discussing this?
Yeah. Okay, why are you torturing us?
Because it's
Trying to make it. Maybe they try to make it now
So the word uses
statistically, but maybe it wasn't the case in the old time. They just make it now. They.
Yeah, this is the Symmetries, do you have this kind of thing?
I don't know why this baby.
Why this baby?
I don't know.
Just thinking of tandoor and
Oh gosh.
Now,
that I want to.
if we go back.
Secret love. That's psychology.
Yes.
Okay. If we search in the Quran for the word tanur, and that where the story comes, like it mentioned twice. Yeah, for the in Surah Noah. Yeah. And that was the time that Noah, when he see it, so he don't read Arabic. So
No. We
press
can read Arabic.
Yeah, we can press and
But we
go
don't.
for translation, and that is, and we can make it big.
Oh yes, please.
I think it is already with you because this is Surah Hud. You know Hud, Surah Hud. Yeah, this is Surah Hud.
How did we came here? Tandoor, what was about?
Tanur, yeah.
I
What
missed
was
it.
the
How did
water?
we came to Tandoor point?
Because we're going to speak about volcano. It's
The
translated
volcano
here
translation
backwards.
Oh, okay.
A translator says that
Oh,
volcano,
okay.
but
Yes, that's why I came here to that program to see what the translators will try to put for it, okay? But you get to the point, it's not volcano. Volcano in Arabic is burkan. It's not volcano. It's a nur, but this translator tried to make it volcano. Yeah. Well, it shouldn't.
Yeah, but at that time they've never distinguished between bahr and river, or salty water and not salty water, or a hill or a mountain, or.
But the Quran can say
it
it for
doesn't.
volcano.
Not at that time. They've never distinguished between the difference between these things.
You know,
They never did it.
no, they maybe you think that they don't have enough
Yeah,
word to
they didn't
distinguish
use.
between
Yeah,
these
they
two.
didn't
No,
use
the
them.
Quran is describing this, not that.
But how did you know? How did they describe it at that time? What it means?
Maybe the origin of the word of tandoor was a volcano. Maybe the first time they baked it was a volcano. And they just go to the mountain because they don't have, cool. And they just maybe that's what I'm trying to get. Maybe
Because
this
I
is the
usually
way.
find they don't usually have enough vocabulary.
Not
the
the
one that we
vocabulary.
use
The Quran
now.
is speaking here. Quran have enough vocabulary.
Yeah, but what does it mean?
But you know, the thing that we should know now, inferring from it, is it's what is tanur, yeah? And now we know what is tanur, what our daily use now. Maybe tanur is used as well for the top of the what? Maybe for the volcano not working, volcano or something. Maybe it's the same word. But we borrowed this word to make it for baking bread, maybe.
Yeah.
So the first time, you know, making that oven, they said, oh, it's similar to that. You know, when we saw it in that mountain, let's call it tanur.
Yeah, makes sense.
So yeah, so that's what I'm trying to show you here. So when our command came and the oven overflowed, yeah, another thing come. This is Sahih International here. You wanna? But I give you this Tanya. What do you wanna?
Try pick it all or something.
It
was just there.
Where?
It was in English, pick it all.
Yeah.
The oven.
What?
Oven.
Here, what the oven? And it seems like for me it's better to explain what is tanur, but again they don't have it in English. So yeah, you see it now what is tanur. So is this a clue for something like an else, something that they saw it? Yeah.
So
where is the water
it
come
could be
from?
just that small piece of land, just in that geographical area. If it's not all over the world, I mean, if it's not that big, but it could be just that land.
Oh, yeah.
Just like, you know.
Yeah, but do you prefer to read a little bit and then to discuss it?
So
yeah.
5 minutes. Do you want us to read just the Surah Hud, or
Yeah, do you like to read the Hud together? Okay. Hud is long, yeah, the longest one. Yeah, okay. We'll speak if it's not for. We'll try to say when we're going to speak about this part later. Okay, but overview now. We'll not to explain everything. Okay. Let's go.
What do you want to do?
It starts from.
Can each of us do it individually?
Yeah, we do it probably concentrate better.
Okay. Please just to bring the things that there is evidence for what we have said today, so that you can scan the other.
Nida, Turkish translation says the tenure is referring to the ship. Yeah, it says this. It wasn't a just a minute. It wasn't a normal ship. It was kind of how to say. It wasn't wood or something. It was the boiled thing is the water, and the tenure is the ship. It says so.
There is someone who tried to say people at that time, they know the combustion engines, and it was something like or by instruction of God, because you see that God was building Noah was building this ship with the instruction from God. So maybe he received instruction how to make a combustion engine with a coal, charcoal, and they try to make it. So that's why it says that this is the tanur. So it was an engine of working with. It is strange.
But there is all of things, like this one says the volcano erupted, right? And it doesn't say where the water comes from. And that one says from the oven came the water. From Arabic, what does it say? The water came from that tanur, or the tanur erupted, but there is water? The word fara is something like bubbles.
Boiling water.
But there's no water. We don't say water. Fara tanur. There's only
bubbles
and
But even in Arabic, we say it as the start of an event.
What do you say on that?
It's like, you know, when you say story and you say something happened, you say that as the start of an event.
Really?
Yeah, we do that. I mean, in our age, not their age. I don't know what they do. But now it's like in stories, like even movies, you say something happened, say, yeah.
Wafara?
Yeah.
Wafara tanur?
Yeah, and it means the start of something. But this is nowadays.
Türkçesinde de tanrılıydı aslında. Tanrı kaynadığı zaman değil.
For example, here 41, and so it sails with them against waves like hills. It's like mountains, like we say, water mountains. Yeah.
There is some thing about here that was interesting. It's 43. There's a lucid or solar waters.
Yes.
So that's extra knowledge.
That would stop me.
That's also another hint.
It's inside, but the earth solid, and it will have a fluid. The other thing that was interesting is 27, where it says that disembark, O Noah, disembark with peace from us and blessing upon you, and upon communities from those with you. So this seems there's other communities besides Noah's community.
Yeah.
And other communities who will grant prosperity.
By the way, the first part is well, for me, just like when you wanted to understand the first one, better to look at psychology and social psychology and sociology, because there is something you could infer from what is going on, what's wrong in these people. You see, And of course, I didn't bring the surah. It's called Noah. I didn't bring the surah, but it's not long. But I just there's not more mentioned here. So we're going next times maybe just to try to discuss it and the sociology about what's going on, what's wrong, and there's information there. Okay. Oh, if you could even to read the other parts from it. So it might help you, but you find maybe your study.
I'll try to be awake.
Thank you for
Is
coming.
it 9:20?
9:23 today.
3.
Exactly. You need to be there 9:20.
So we'll see you. Yeah, see you. Do you know why Stephanie is not coming?
What?
Stephanie.
Stephanie.
You should talk to her. She doesn't appear. Usually
She
she
was
says
in-
why.
She was in Egypt last week or
Oh,
something.
yes.
She mentioned she's going there, but
I
Yeah.
know.
I think she's
back. Yeah, she's back.
we should talk to her. You stopped the recording.
No, oh, sorry.
Yeah.